I am Dr. Leah Leach. I'm the headmistress of the Wonder Woman Academy, and today we are going to take risks. We are going to mess up. We are going to embrace our amazing and imperfect selves. We are going to have confidence like Wonder Woman. All right, ready? So, to have glorious confidence igniters, we are in good hands because this is our guide. This book is by Kathy Kay and Claire Shipman. They wrote this book, The Confidence Code. This particular one is the for young adults, for girls version. There is an adult version as well, it's just called The Confidence Code. Has that part off. So they have used their brain power and wrote out a roadmap to confidence. I'm going to be pulling from the books. I'm going to be pulling some of the activities and some of the advice and some of the definitions to ignite our confidence. Notice I didn't say build our confidence or create our confidence because it's already there. It's a match just waiting to be sparked. All right. So yes. So what is confidence? From the book, it says, you know that feeling when you do something brave, that incredible energy that you find courage and you try something that is not easy? That's confidence. So confidence gives you the power, the life, the oomph, to be yourself and do what you want even when it's scary. So that feeling of confidence is something that we might know. We might have accidentally brushed upon it. It might have showed its glorious head when we were about to do something that is scary, but we accomplished it anyway. So, but what really is confidence besides that feeling of confidence? Confidence is when you turn your thoughts into action. It is getting things done. That is what confidence really is. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story about myself to kind of personalize it, if you will, give you an example. I moved to Indiana after the second Iraq War. And when I moved to Indiana, I was sick of waiting for my life to start. It was like it was just always on hold. I wanted to be a writer since the age of 8. I wanted to be a filmmaker since the age of 10. And I hadn't done either of them except for taking classes. I mean, I worked at a television studio. I wrote stories in school, but I wasn't actively doing anything about writing or filmmaking. So I was almost waiting for somebody to come to my couch, because of course I was just sitting on my couch, to come to my couch and say, hey, do you have an idea for a movie? Because I've got like $50 million and I'll just give it to you. For some odd reason that never happened. Nobody just came to my couch and gave me that opportunity. So when I moved here to Indiana, I decided that's it. I'm going to stop waiting and I'm just going to do things. I'm going to do the things that I wanted to do. So I started a writers group and I started a film company and I started putting my work out there publicly into that glorious big bad world, warts and all, learning by doing. I won 13 awards and other companies started hiring me to build that resume. I became what was known as a confident filmmaker. But I wasn't. I really wasn't. The honest truth is that all I was doing was getting things done. I was saying the film project that I was going to do, and then I was doing everything to get it done. I should have been known as the girl who gets things done, but I was known as the confident girl, and sometimes there was a little bit of bite to that sentence, but you know what I'm talking about, ladies. So just because a person does a thing or does things, it doesn't mean they're confident about it. So we're going to look at confidence, okay? We're going to look at different elements of it. One bit of warning, because sometimes the people who seem to be the most confident aren't confident at all. And the book talks about a very dangerous one that a lot of times we can identify, and it's imposter behavior. Let's see if you have seen any of these things in somebody you know, perhaps a public figure. Being phony or bratty or arrogant, having the loudest voice in the room and talking over people, making other people feel bad and putting them down so that they themselves feel better, always getting their way, trying to look so awesome that everybody else is jealous, and making sure that they are the best and that everybody knows it. So that is the imposter syndrome. They are dangerous because they are either bullying or right up to that line of bullying. So one big thing to note from confidence that is in the book, it is not about how you look, it is about how you act and who you are. So yes, a lot of times these imposter behaviors are covering over a great hurt, and they don't want anybody to know how much they feel that they are failing, and how much they don't necessarily believe in themselves. But some of them are also just narcissists, and that's a whole nother thing. And I recommend some YouTube videos on narcissism because, wow. But for the rest of the day, I want you to observe people. I know we're not around people as much, but I mean, you can even do this to a certain extent on social media, but know that you're not seeing the full person. You're only seeing a little bit of the person. So observe people. I want you to think about the confidence level of people that you see today. Is anybody suffering from imposter syndrome? Those, you know, the phony, arrogant, trying to make other people feel bad. Are they holding back because they are scared to take risks? Are you seeing people do that? Are you seeing people who are confident because they know who they are and what they want, and they are in the middle of the action of something that they want? Keep in mind, you are not spying, you are not judging, you are learning. Okay, learning is completely different. It's finding a role model, a way to be or a way not to be. It's a shortcut to finding yourself. It's a cross compare. It's not designed to be a judgment. It's okay, that's what this person's going through. That is what I am seeing. Is that something that I want to emulate, learn from, or avoid, right? So one example I want to give you is Hedy Lamarr. And my God, I love a Hedy Lamarr. And this is an example of finding a role model to kind of give you a little bit of a shortcut in life. We have talked about Hedy Lamarr quite a bit in the Uhura Training Academy, but I think this might be the first time we're talking about her in Wonder Woman Academy, so woohoo. So Hedy Lamarr was an actress in the 40s and 50s. In fact, she was called by the head of MGM Studios, quote, the most beautiful woman in the world. She was an immigrant to America, and when we entered World War II, she wanted to help. She put her thoughts into action, and she created a secret communications system. When she gave this device to the military, they looked at this beautiful woman and said, honey, you are too pretty to be making inventions, so why don't you go raise money for the war? So she did, and her invention sat on a shelf for the longest time, and her invention was frequency hopping, which led to Wi-Fi. Frequency hopping is basically what allows anything to be cordless. That's what it is. No cords anywhere. So we're talking about Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cell phones, GPS, and CDMA. And yes, as is in the glorious chat, Hedy Lamarr had two major inspirations. One of them was Snow White, her doughish kind of hither look of naivete is Hedy Lamarr's early looking glamorous face, to which she said, anyone can look glamorous, all you have to do is stand there and look stupid. That's the Snow White inspiration. But then as Hedy got a little bit older and really kind of had a lot of Hollywood and was not having it, she had a resting bitch face, and she was the inspiration for Catwoman in the comics. So yeah, it's really great. So Hetty wasn't confident in her looks because she's like, anybody can do it. You know, you're just standing there looking stupid. And she was not confident in her inventions. She filed a patent and she gave her idea to the military, but they didn't believe in it. She didn't believe in it. She barely saw in her lifetime people actually like using it and giving her any credit for it. It was very later in her life when she refused to go outside because she had lost her looks that people even gave her credit for her invention. Had Hetty been confident in her abilities to invent, people would have had Wi-Fi many years earlier. And who knows, if she valued her brains over her beauty, how much more innovation would we have today from Hedy Lamarr? So watch, people. Find role models. Find, you know, I don't want to say warning cries, you know what I mean? Like cautionary tales. Like, okay, let me make sure that this doesn't happen to me or somebody that I love. When you see somebody taking a risk, tell them great job, give them a boost, send them a text, say thank you, keep up the good work. Research shows that when you shout out and when you acknowledge somebody else taking a risk, you boost your own confidence too. So it is totally a win-win situation. When you are boosting somebody else's confidence, you get a piece yourself as well. So let's do our very first exercise. It's a quick power up if I have any gamers. I like to level up real quick. This is a wonderful little exercise to kind of like power up, ignite, light that spark of your confidence. We're gonna do some power positions, okay? So this first one, normally you stand up for it. So if you can stand up or want to stand up, go for it. I am corded to like a couple of things right now, and then there's also moving this camera thing. So I'm upset, but I will tell you that this particular one is better when you stand up. So the first one is taking up as much space as possible. So I want you to spread out. If you are standing, put your legs apart, put your arms out, spread out. The idea is take up as much space as you can. Like this space is your space. Like claim that space. Stretch out. You're not taking away anybody else's space. You can move. You have all the space that you possibly need. Now, I want you to like hold that stretch and hold your head up high for just like 30 seconds and just claim that space. That is yours. Very good. There you go. So that is the first one. That is a power up, taking up space exercise. You can do it just about anywhere at any point. This next one, not surprisingly, is called Wonder Woman pose. What? Why would this be in Wonder Woman Academy? Oh, this makes no sense. So this one is also standing, okay? But this is hands on your hips. Let me see if I can, there we go. Hands on your hips. And so just think of Wonder Woman. You've got your legs shoulder width apart, your arms on your hips, your head up kind of at an angle. Think of, you know, Wonder Woman or Superman, because a lot of times Superman is a lot more in the lexicon. But you know what I mean? That outstretched looking up to the sky. What is it? Joey from Friends calls it smell the fart acting. If you need to do that. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. But with this one, I want you to feel like your legs are grounded, like they are into the earth. They are almost connected, if you will, to Mother Earth. And your energy goes through your legs like a giant tree trunk with your head held high. And that is glorious. Wonder Woman pose. It connects to the superhero that is already in you. From my wonderful movie acting world, I always recommended my actors to do this before an audition. You can do it before a test. You can do it before an interview. You can do it before asking a friend a favor. It is a good Wonder Woman pose to do. Now this next one is a seated exercise. Okay, so let's say you forgot to take up all of the space that you can, all right? The Wonder Woman pose, you kind of already like are sitting at work, you know what I mean? You're like, I kind of need to stay seated. I want to do a power up, but I don't really want like everybody in the world to know, or I forgot. Or let's say you're in your car, you know what I mean? Like before you're about to go do something brave, and you need that little moment. So this is kind of a combination of the first two, but is keeping it all inside. So while you're taking a seat, all right, sit up as straight as you possibly can. You're still gonna do Wonder Woman. You're still gonna do your hands on your hips, okay? And you're still gonna do the head tilt to feel that kind of stretch in your neck. And you can do that one for as long as you need to kind of build that confidence, right? So that is the seated power pose that gives you a little something, something. So good job, my Wonder Women. They're brilliant power up exercises. So hopefully you are feeling connected and powerful and awesome. So that is a way to kind of ignite, all right? It gives you that sense of yourself, that sense of confidence. Researchers have found that those poses give you that jump start to a confidence feeling, but let's unlock it. Let's dig a little deeper, okay? So the first bit of long-lasting confidence is understanding risk, okay? So risk from the book is taking a risk is like a big leap of faith. It's using whatever confidence you have and maybe some courage and some bravery as well to sail over the dark abyss of whatever scares you. So risk is where something bad or unpleasant might happen. There is a chance that you could get hurt or that you could lose something. But risks vary. Sometimes it's getting out of the bed in the morning is risky. Starting a women's history library is risky. Attending a program on confidence is risky. So these are all things where maybe something bad or unpleasant could happen. But it's the confidence to do them anyway, because the rewards far outweigh the risks. One example that I love to give about this is from the movie Finding Nemo. This was my daughter's first film that she saw in the theater, so it has a sentimental value to me. Plus, I love Pixar. But in the movie Finding Nemo, it has a really great shared dialogue about risk, okay? So in that movie, it's about a clownfish named Marlin who is looking for his son who was taken away by a diver, and Marlin is spending the whole film trying to find his son, even though he is super overprotective, and in the beginning tells Nemo he shouldn't do things and he needs to stay safe and he needs to stay close and all this stuff. So, and the reason why Marlin is always overprotective of his son is he made a promise to himself that he would never let anything happen to him. And so Dory, Glorious Dory, is played by Ellen DeGeneres, says, that's a funny thing to promise. Well, you can't let anything happen to him. Then nothing would ever happen to him. And that's not fun for little Harpo. Dory always calls him the wrong name. You have to accept that things will happen. The good, the bad, the ugly. Something's got to happen to you. And you have to risk whether or not it's going to be good or bad. Of course, you can qualify those risks and play your cards where they may. I might be that rare bird that says, screw regret. Absolutely screw it. Never look back at woulda, shoulda, coulda, would'ves. Would'ves? That's not a word. But paint that thing. Wear that dress. Talk to that person. Visit that country. Maybe not right now. Save that world. Do that thing when it makes the most sense to do it. When there's the least amount of risks or less. I mean, it's hard talking about this in a pandemic. I'm just saying. The book and you know, this was before. But if you're still not sure whether it's that leap of faith for something that you want, remember this story, okay? So a scientist was noticing that men were doing a lot better on this practical test that they were giving. It was a puzzle-solving math test, and it had been given out many times at this university that the scientist was at. So he started looking at the women's answers very closely on this puzzle-solving math test, and he noticed something. The women who didn't do well on the test were because they skipped a lot of the questions. He realized that when the women were unsure of the answer, they would often not take a risk and not even guess. So he did an experiment, and he told the next group of men and women that everyone had to answer every single question. Even if you didn't know what it was, you had to have an answer. And what happened? The scores were nearly identical, male to female. So not taking a risk, not acting, has consequences. There's a chance you might fail just by not answering the question, just by not trying. So activity time, risks. Okay, so I did email out a glorious handout before this. Let's see, I'm trying to think, did anybody not get a handout? And the question is, do I still have it on this computer? I can always put it in, oh wait, hey, look, let's see. File, my computer. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. And if I can't, then I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Oh, that's my Wonder Woman pictures. That's what that is. Ha! There it is. Okay, I'm going to put it in there since it's, okay, there we go. So the handout is now in the little chat group for the file. So for this, I want you to write down 3 risks that you want to take, okay? They don't have to be huge. They don't have to be dangerous. There are things that you've had on your mind. They can be immediate. They can be like 7 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. But what are things that you've had on your mind that have maybe been a little bit too risky, but you want to do them anyway? Is it something like trying a new instrument? Is it applying for that job? Scientists say that writing down something, writing down a goal, writing down a risk, writing down a mental I want, makes it 42% more likely to happen in reality. And I really hope that that percentage is somewhat accurate, because I love 42 in The Meaning of Life, because that's a Hitchhiker reference. But that is the number. I didn't make up that number. That was there. But of course I wrote it down because that's what it said. So I'm going to give you a few minutes while we're in this mental space of taking risks. We can share them at the end when we open it up for discussion if we want to. We don't have to. These are personal. But you are going to write down 3 risks that you want to take in the future. I am going to write down mine as well. So I'm going to be doing these with you. Top of your brains. Go for it. Mona has the thinking song in her head. I kind of have Jeopardy. I don't know why. Jeopardy's playing in mine. All right, if you are still working on yours, stay in that space. Keep working on it. If you are ready, we have unlocked the first part of the confidence code, which is risk more. There's one part of having confidence is taking more risks. The next part of the confidence code has to do with our brains, the big brains. So I don't know how many of you are like me and overthink things, because I overthink things a lot. I took that quiz, the quiz that I sent the link for today. It was a pretty interesting quiz. Mine said that I had to work on, that it recommended, it didn't say I had to, sorry, that's me putting filters on it. Rumination, thinking about things over and over again. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm totally aware. Doesn't make it go away, but at least I'm aware. So there you go. But worrying about things, thinking you've messed up or that just everything is horrible and it snowballs, one small stressful thing quickly blooms into absolute certainty that you are a misfit and everybody's staring at you. So psychologists have this word for it called ruminating. I know it very well. It's when those thoughts go round and round in your head and you feel like you are a frantic hamster on a wheel. The question is how long you let that happen. Is it 20 minutes? Is it an hour? Is it 6 hours? Is it a day? Is it a week? You see where I'm going, right? It's like being in a boxing match with yourself. And so the question becomes, how long are you going to beat yourself up and know that it is exhausting? It really, really is. So let's give you methods to identify rumination, circular thinking, and some tools to stop as well. So identification. The book has 3 common flawed thinking patterns. So one of them is catastrophic thinking, okay? This is when you jump to the worst conclusion ever imaginable. Disaster around every corner. In your world, people are never late, they're dead. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it's been 5 minutes, they're dead. That is catastrophic thinking. Does the bad seem to always outpower the good? Does getting one bad review mean that surely, you know, everybody hates the thing that you did, and so you're going to keep getting more and more bad reviews? That is catastrophic thinking. Okay, the next one is mind reader. Do you always assume that you know what other people are thinking, especially when it's about you? Are you pretty sure that anything that is bad that is happening is basically about you and other people think so too? Yeah, that one's terrifying. So if like 2 people are whispering, do you automatically think, oh, they're whispering about me? What did I do? Is my underwear, you know what I mean? Is my shirt tucked into my underwear? That sort of thing. Like, is it me? So that is mind reading, okay? The next one is set in stone. Do you feel like things are the way they are fixed in place? There is no way to make any changes, that kind of set in stone. That, you know, that comment clearly has to do with you are inferior and there's not much you can do about it. So nothing to do with effort, nothing to do with somebody else's filter, nothing to do with understanding the conversation or where they're coming from. That, no, you're just, right, exactly, set in stone. I don't know, slight sidebar, I have a picture of this somewhere. Somebody actually had a stone and it had etched in it, nothing is etched in stone on a stone. Want it? I didn't buy it. I should have bought it. Because the ironicness. Anyway, so yes, so these are the lies that we are telling ourselves. These are ways of thinking and ways of telling ourselves that we wouldn't tell our best friend these things, all right? If you wouldn't tell your best friend these things, don't tell them to yourself. And I know that's easier said than done, but at the same time, it's like, well, hold on a second. Let me have the same parameter of what I tell this to my bestie. So here's where the knockout blow really is, because what we think creates how we feel, which then shapes what we do. So these catastrophic thinking, this mind reader thinking, this set in stone thinking is creating the way that we feel about ourselves and our abilities, and then it's shaping what we do and what we don't do. So it's very important that too much flawed thinking leads to no action, and then no action leads to no confidence. So here's the thing, you get to rewire your brain. What? Scientists have proven what many people who have come before us have learned, or at least, pretty much theorized, that thinking differently and doing things differently can rewire your brain. It's called neuroplasticity. And the book has lots of different ideas on how to rewire your brain, because what will work for one person may not work for another. What might work on one day may not work another day. But things like facing your fears and looking at your accomplishments and looking at positive energies to just kind of like snap back into happy. Negative thoughts are always going to come in. They are going to try to creep in, but I like to picture it as a pause button. We're doing a lot of streaming lately, but just kind of like when negativity comes in of like, oh man, I think they hate me. It's like pause. You know what I mean? Just kind of like pause it like you're watching a video. That little negativity can just like stay on pause until you are ready to deal with it, until you are ready to find the source of it, or until you just like, close that app basically and be like, no, I'm just not going to deal with this because this is not something I need right now. Another important aspect to your confidence is your friends, your circle of support, your chosen family. And we're not talking about social media followers. We're talking about real people that if there was an emergency that you would contact them and they would be there for you. Surrounding yourself by people who make you feel good and make you feel loved is one way to grow your confidence. Pass around the compliments with your squad and mean them. Find an opportunity at any point to be like, you rock that. You nailed that. You know what I mean? You did great. Good try. You know what I mean? Like, always be lifting up, your squad, your friends, your family. Because again, when you are lifting somebody up, you get that confidence as well. So it's that win-win situation. So yes, so a friend shouldn't make you feel bad, and you shouldn't do that to yourself either. Constructive criticism is a whole nother thing. That's being helpful. But when it does come to those screen time friends and that social media, it can generally be like a boxing partner in disguise. And I'm not even talking about like online trollers and fights. I'm talking about a boxing match with yourself. Will this post get enough likes? Why haven't I gotten enough likes? Why does everybody look like they're having so much more fun than I am? Maybe this quiz will solve all of my problems, and then overthink and overthink. Instead, the book recommends for social media and for using devices, okay, basically, using your iPad, using the internet, using apps, to use them as a tool for good. Define why you are using that app and what you hope to accomplish. Are you looking to make new friends? Are you trying to expand your awareness of things that you care about and plug into them? Are you trying to connect with people and help them? If you say to yourself, I'm on Facebook because I want to do this, this, and this, stay in that lane, because it'll make it seem a little bit better. Some of those crappy, scary, what the hell, you didn't even bother to fact check this, you know what I mean? It blows right off even easier, because it's like, no, I'm here for the cat memes. You know what I mean? If you define it, that will help. So also understand that that same happy chemical that you get when you eat chocolate, chocolate, or when you win a prize, for those who don't like chocolate, who are you? When you win a prize, so when you eat chocolate, win a prize, or get a whole bunch of likes on social media, it's that same happy chemical that goes through your body. So social media is not a substitution for a real life conversation. There are many people who only post good stuff online, and I think I've talked about this before, and then there are people who always just post the bad stuff online as well. You don't know how much really somebody is going through on social media and all of that kind of good stuff. So yes. So we've been talking to each other a lot longer than we've actually been writing to each other. So that is part of it as well. We are still learning how to absorb the written language. We are taught and trained, and our body has evolved to be able to pick up body language and to pick up micro expressions and cues in real conversation much faster than we have in words. So, okay, the power of the mind time, the power of the brain to influence our own confidence. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so this is how powerful our glorious brains is. All right, we are going to do a quick meditation. I always do my shoulders, roll my shoulders back. All right, and so we're going to see the power of the mind. And this one always is a little bit weirdly uncomfortable. Hold on a second. I got to there we go. Done. Aha, I see. Yes, I got you, girl. Okay, so, all right, so our thought meditation to see the power of our mind. So I want you to sit comfortably where you are. And I want you, if you can, because I know some of you are at work, if you can, close your eyes, okay? All right, so the first thing we're gonna do with the power of mind exercise is I want you to remember something bad that happened to you. Something that you thought was awful. And it can be a mean comment or a fight with somebody that you love. Something that's uncomfortable. It doesn't need to be totally traumatic. I don't want to put anybody into trauma, but something bad that happened, just a bad day, and remembering those negative thoughts, those negative feelings. You might even feel tension in your body. You might even have I don't want to stay in this. So let's not stay in this, okay? We're now going to flip the script, and we're going to remember something wonderful, okay? A new kitten, an amazing compliment, an award, a recognition, time with your friends. And we're going to think about that happy moment. We're going to think about that positive moment. And has your body changed a little bit? Has your shoulders loosened a little bit? Thinking about something happier? Has the tension maybe gone from your body a little bit? Thinking of that something happy? You might even be smiling or feeling calmer or upbeat, thinking about that happy moment. All right, go ahead and open your eyes. So that is showing just really quickly, because I never like having people stay in a bad moment for too long. But that simple exercise is to show how you can generate a spectrum of emotions just based on your thoughts, and how quickly you can change them by just flipping the script. So if you do have negativity or a bad memory that comes into your mind, be like, okay, I acknowledge you. I'm going to hit pause on you. And now I'm going to go pet some puppies. You know what I mean? It's flipping that script, because your brain actually has so much more power to be able to flip it, to be able to excite those emotions and how your body reacts to it as well. So yes, so that is the next part of the confidence code, which it's called think less. And it's to me, an intellectual, it's a nightmare. Think less. What are you talking about? It's not ruminating. It's not circular thinking. It's doing, productive thinking. It's doing helpful thinking. It's does this help me get stuff done thinking. So the last piece of this confidence code is being yourself. All right. I don't know about you, but a very big one for me and my daughters, sometimes that holds us back and stops us from taking risks, is the idea of perfection. For some odd reason, my daughters and I, this was a big one for us. We really, really worry, but it's got to be perfect, or we've got to do our absolute best, and that's got to be close to perfection. I'm working on it. I'm working on this idea of perfection doesn't exist, being enough exists. The book goes into far more details and is very, very helpful on this idea of perfection and how to smash it. But basically, in a nutshell, perfection doesn't exist. It's only an illusion. And I know that's easy to say. But there is no perfect way to look. There is no perfect way to act. There is no perfect way to live. Trying to be any kind of perfect keeps you from being you. So do your best. Do not make promises that you can't keep. Apologize when you've let somebody down. Never measure your life by somebody else's yardstick. And for goodness sake, have fun and make mistakes. So I don't know if there's any Neil Gaiman fans out there. He's a glorious author with a wonderful accent, eh? And he had this wonderful commencement speech that he gave to a graduating class, and it's actually also in a book, a very small book that he also put out as well. And I'm going to read you a section of it, and I probably should have in today's email sent you the link to the whole thing. I will find the link to the whole thing because it's a very good speech, and I love giving it to people who are self-doubting, especially in creativity. So this is Neil Gaiman's wonderful advice about making mistakes and not being perfect, okay? He said, I hope that in this year to come, you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are trying new things and you are making new things. You are learning, you are living, you are pushing yourself, and you are changing the world. You are doing things you've never done before. And more importantly, you're doing something. So make new mistakes. Make glorious, amazing mistakes. Make mistakes nobody's ever made before. Don't freeze, don't stop, don't worry that it isn't good enough. So that is from Neil Gaiman. He is an author and lovely. So change your mindset from trying to be perfect to being good enough. And that doesn't mean mediocre. It means, did you give it your best? Did you do your best effort? Did anybody get hurt? No. Cool. Mission accomplished. Good work. You did it. So now the handout. I shared the handout like earlier than I thought with the risk we needed for the handout. Okay, so the handout, let's see how many of these we can kind of get to before time runs out, and I want to make sure we have time for discussions as well. So on the handout, which of course I forgot to print out a copy for myself because I'm really smart. So as I open it up for myself, so values is the first one because the book actually has like a list of starter values. And these are just, they're guiding lights. They are ways of, it doesn't start with values. Hold on a second, now that I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, power up poses. Risk, brains, be yourself. There we go. Finding your values, which ones motivate you, circle your favorites and add more. So the values, these aren't always things that we think about or that we talk about, but they are things that we focus on. And it's important to take that moment to kind of ask yourself, how important is this one to me? Because that one can actually be It can be a compass. And Teresa, you missed the quote. I will say it again here at the end. But figuring out your values, they can be a compass, all right? It can be your true north, because not all questions get to be answered. So it can lead you in the direction that it needs to of finding your values. So if you look at that list and you take the time to circle your values, the ones that mean something to you, write down, there are plenty more out there. Write down ones that really mean something to you. And we're not going to share these with others. These are our values. These are extremely personal, but I wanted to make sure that you had like a starter list in front of you, that this was something that you could take the time to do when you had the time to do it. The next one is the strengths. And so it's the strengths quiz. So there's a couple of questions within the strengths quiz. And I definitely say take the time to be able to mentally plug in. A lot of us are at work. But this has 3 requirements. It's, what are you pretty good at, or do you have some kind of skill at it? What are you passionate about? What is something that nobody has to nag you to do? And what brings you joy? Those are kind of your strengths. So if answering those 3 questions of listing your true strength of what you're pretty good at, what you're passionate about, what brings you joy, is a lot easier by doing the 7 questions that are above there on that handout, because it kind of helps kind of pinpoint it down. So yes, so start thinking about what is important to you, what you enjoy doing, and you may only jot down like a few things now, you may only jot down a few things later, but the list will grow and change with you, and it's supposed to. What you may answer today is not something that you might answer a month from now. It's all in discovery. So, so also for later, I put a very deep think question on there. Look at where your values and where your strengths overlap, because where they overlap, where they share that bit, could be a warp speed of a boost of confidence. It could just be an absolute zinger for you. So that is the last piece of the code, is be yourself. Determine what your values and strengths are and be yourself. Use it to turn off that perfectionist instincts, that people-pleasing tendencies, that unrealistic expectations. Turn on your authentic self, because there is nothing more powerful than a fire truck going by a building. There's nothing more powerful than being more confident than being you. So I'm going to open it up for questions. We can also share our risks if we want to, but I'm going to leave you with this, and this is my little kind of almost pandemic advice a little bit here. So in this time of pandemic, we've been a little bit more mindful of things. No, the fire truck's not coming to me. I'm good. I'm good. I'm right by a fire station. So yes, so I will leave you with this glorious advice. So we've been a little bit more mindful of contagions, right? A little bit lately, you know, the washing our hands, the wearing our face masks, viruses, all that kind of good stuff. We're a little bit more mindful of it. Well, how about this for kind of flipping the script and taking what new things we have learned about contagions? Keep in mind that confidence is contagious, and it's best when it's shared. And so that's the ironicness of, we're talking so much about what not to share, you know what I mean? Like germs and bacteria and things like that, and not to have contagions out there. But when you are confident around others, they will feel confident too. It is contagious. It's one of the few things that is in our world right now that is healthy to share: confidence. So at least we've got that, right? So there you go. So I will gloriously open it up for questions and discussion. Y'all can unmute your microphones as much as you like.